Hi everyone, thank you for joining me. You are with Dr. Powar and we're going to talk about a very interesting topic today, that is ego. Ego, make ego your friend. I say that because ego, when we talk about ego, it has a lot of negativity around it. And my channel is all about positivity, it's all about motivation, it's all about learning. So I'm going to make ego my friend. I want you to make ego your friend. Before I give you examples on how we can use ego to make our journey of life better, more productive, what I'd like to do is give you a little bit of history. I've already done that in episode 1 and 2. So if you haven't had the chance to listen to those episodes, those video episodes of ego, please do so. That would be quite helpful. I'm going to use what I talked about in episode 1, and that is about Sigmund Freud, who the father of psychology, along with Carl Gustav Jung and Erik Erikson, who looked at ego in great detail. And Sigmund Freud said that we have the superego, we have the ego, and we have the id. But as he put it in German, we have the et, we have the über-ich, and we have the ich. So we're going to work with that. We're going to work with ego as the identity, as the I. So I'm going to be talking about ego in that context for the purpose of this video. So let's start. How can we make ego our friend? And how can we use it to help us and be better, make our journey better? So let's start with example number 1. Example number 1 is self-doubt. Example number 2 is fear. These are things that when they're circulating our head, they prevent us from being our better self in getting things done. And the reason that happens is, as alluded to in episode 1 when we talk about Sigmund Freud, we have the desires on one side and we have the moral fiber on the other side. And between those two, we have the I. What puts into understanding everything that's going on in here to make it practical, to make it real, to function in this world. So when we have self-doubt, what our mind is telling us that, look, you've tried this before 3 times, you're no good at it, you're never going to be good at it, don't bother. So that's the negative self-talk we get. You know, that is the über-ich, the superego, telling you that. Sometimes in a parental way, because parents do that as we're growing up. Come on, you're not good at that, why don't you try something else? Rather than saying, come on, you will be able to do it, you can do it, just try it. So what we have to learn in instances like that example, an example of when we're fearful of something, say you might be fearful of dogs because you've had a bad experience. So A, along with learnt behavior, and B, with the mind ticking in, saying, come on, you're frightened of dogs, there's a dog there, let's cross the road. You can learn to conquer all of those self-doubts and fears by your brain saying to you and using that voice, come on, yes, you've had a bad experience with a dog, but not all dogs are the same, and maybe that incident was where you were frightened and the dog reacted in a bad way because you were frightened and it sensed that. So you can tell yourself, you can tell the I, you can have a debate between the super-ish and the ID, the id, and then say, look, I'm not going to be scared of dogs anymore. I will be good at this. I've never been good at it, but I've had enough practice. I can be good at this. So that's where you can use the ego to be your friend and turn negative instances into positive ones. So those are 2 examples there. Another example, if we didn't have the I, if we didn't have the ish, you know, that would count for sometimes in the world we live in, where we need to do jobs, we need to function, we need to complete assignments, we need to go to work. We have so many responsibilities. If that was completely flattened, we wouldn't have that drive. And I know of the story, and I'm sure you all know of it, where a man goes to the Buddha and says, how can I get rid of all pain and suffering? And he says, learn to get rid of your I, the ego. Yes, there's a fair point there, and I'm not discounting that in any way. We need to tame the ego to make that ego work for us. But we still need ego to function, to give us that drive. You know, I'm going to make sure I pass my exam tomorrow. I'm going to make sure I complete this assignment tomorrow. So we still need that. So that's where also you can make ego your friend. Another example where you can make ego your friend is to compete with yourself, to make yourself a better person. The talk that you have with the I, the ish, tell it to be better than it was yesterday, because that's where you're using ego positively rather than when you're competing with somebody else. Because the minute you compete with someone else, there's comparison. Within comparison, human behavior kicks in and, oh, you came third, I came first, I'm better than you, oh, you're never going to be good at this. So negativity creeps in, the mind, plays so many games in the head that kicks in. So this is why I say use ego to compete with yourself, because you are always going to be your friend in telling yourself, if you choose to, I can do better than this, I can do better than this. And this is some of the patterns and behaviors employed by sportsmen that are excellent at their game, or anyone who's excellent at what they do. This constant positivity, the constant telling the ego, the constant telling the ish, I can do this. So ego, to conclude, is a tool. How you use a tool is up to you. And if I give you a metaphorical example, if you have a hammer, you can use a hammer to put nails into wood to create structures. You can use it positively as a positive tool to fix things, or you can use a hammer negatively because you want to destroy something. You want to break that box instead of building it. The tool is the same. It's how you use it. So ego is dependent on how you use it. Use it positively. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please do hit the like button. Do hit the subscribe button. Do share it with your friends and families. And thank you for listening. And I'll be back soon. Take care. Bye-bye now.